Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It's been about a week, so it's about time to, unfortunately, talk about threat of storms. And we're going to see if they have that dirty T word in there. We teased that at lunchtime today. I said, hey, we're going to be in that 48-hour window. The new model data will come in here about 9:30 tonight. It usually comes in between 9 and 9:30. So when you're looking for about a 48 hours out, it doesn't really come in until literally 5 minutes ago. So if you're watching any other weather source for a forecast for tomorrow, it's all off of old data because we look at the new stuff right as it comes in. That's why it usually takes a little longer because it just now kind of comes in hot off the presses. So we analyze it on the fly, and then we tell you what you're going to get. And when you're talking about tornadoes, you want to make sure you're in that 48-hour window because too many things can change outside of that, and there's too many over-promising and under-delivering when you're scaring everybody about tornadoes. And we don't need to do that, right? They're scary enough as it is. So I'm not a fan of the 7-8 days. Watch out for tornadoes are coming, nonsense. So I stick with the 48 hours, and that seems to be doing me well. I've been doing it for years, and I'm going to keep doing it. Science isn't better than that yet. So it may eventually get there, but it ain't there yet. So I'm going to go where we're allowed to go. Okay, so by the way, thanks for checking in. You guys on Rumble. More and more of you are signing up and joining in, so I do appreciate you there. Always good to see you guys on YouTube as well. Very chatty group. You guys are like hardcore. I see the same names over and over. That's awesome. Twitter, also welcome. Still looking forward to Elon continuing to update and change that platform to make it a little bit more creator-friendly, which it is starting to do. He's starting to add some more benefits, becoming being a content creator on that platform, which hasn't had anything at all, really. So it's nice to see that's changing. And, of course, on the old school, old school guys on Facebook, welcome as well. By the way, I'm going to put the link here in the comments section so you can click on that if you are having trouble getting notified when I do go live. Again, you often have to check your Facebook settings on a page that you follow because they will change it behind your back. Yeah, that's right. They're dirty, and they play dirty. So we can beat them at their own game. As one, you check your settings ever so often, make sure you're getting all notifications, all lives, broadcasts. If that is not working for you, you can opt in, and I'll send it to you directly through your Facebook Messenger. So either way, you're covered. If you're just hell-bent on staying on that platform and not checking out my broadcasts on any of the others, but I understand. Everybody's got their favorites. Out there currently, let's take a look here. 65 degrees, so I don't know if you've noticed this, but today was a nice little warm-up. Really decent day out there. Tomorrow's going to be nice as well. We are finally through with the ridiculous frost and freezes and 30s. It was still chilly this morning, but not like it was off and on here for the last month. I'm ready to see that get out of here. I'm sure you are too. Now, we do talk about the drought. Now, this has not updated. I don't like how long it takes them to update the drought, frankly. I like, at least twice a week updates, but they don't update twice a week. They update basically once a week. So we have to wait for the new one, which won't be out, I don't believe, until this Thursday. But this is the old one, and it does show you kind of this highlighted area in here in the western half of the state. But if you draw a line northeast to southwest, hit hard with the drought here so far this spring. Now, we did get some good rain in that area, though. Take a look at these numbers. Anywhere from 1 to 2 to even 3 inches in some of these areas that hit by the drought. This little spot right here in yellow is up around 4 inches. This is all last week. So somebody had asked me, what was the rainfall that we had last week? Well, this is a look at it. So it was widespread, 1 to 2, with some lucky folks around 3, and could get some brief flash flooding, get up around 4, but needless to say, that's gone. We're on to the next. So speaking of the next, here's a look at the thunderstorms out here across the panhandle of Texas. It's hard to see sometimes these maps, but this is the panhandle right here of the Lone Star State. That's Red River. So this activity, believe it or not, is going to kind of make its way into this direction here overnight very slowly. And that will bring us a little bit of rain for tomorrow. By the way, temperatures today topped out, like I said, very nice into the mid-70s, even some 80s down there in southwest Oklahoma. And as we mentioned, they're back into the 60s, even some 50s out there currently here as we approach the 10 o'clock hour. And the wind speeds are fairly light, so it's a really nice evening out there. All right, Storm Prediction Center does have this large region of a slight risk of severe storms as we head into Thursday. Here's a close-up view, which just encompasses Oklahoma and northwest Texas. So what is going to be under that? Well, let's take a quick look. National Weather Service is highlighting damaging winds and large hail. They did not mention tornadoes in this graphic yet, but we're going to look at the outlook here in a minute. And they also kind of highlight the weekend severe, which I mentioned in my blog. On Saturday, we'll probably see some more thunderstorms, likely severe wind and hail. At this point, we'll take a look at the data on that here in a second. But again, that'll be late afternoon and evening, which they typically are this time of the year. All right, so we look at the algorithms as far as the machine learning, and they do like a little favored region of severe weather on Thursday. It kind of favors this little spot right here and this spot here. They're not bridging the gap like the Storm Prediction Center did here on the right. So we're going to see who wins out, right? Machines or the humans. All right, so let's take a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. We're looking at the jet stream pattern in the form of the upper level disturbances. These are like what we call really the shortwave troughs that move through. The brighter colors indicate lift in the atmosphere. So let's go through here with time to tomorrow morning. Look at that big purple area right here. Big strong area of lift that moves in from the Panhandle into southwestern Oklahoma into the lunchtime area. Let me get that off of there. Let's see here. That will help to trigger some showers and thunderstorms as it rolls through for tomorrow. So we'll get a little bit of rain here in Oklahoma thanks to that one. There's another one that kind of skirts the northern part of the state overnight into Thursday morning. So that may trigger another little round of some rain that moves through or some thunderstorms. And then we'll watch this little area out here. So we start to get into a kind of a southwesterly flow aloft, and these little disturbances will rotate in as we head into Thursday. So that's our next trigger. So here's Thursday midday and a Thursday afternoon. So this energy, it's not very heavy, but it's enough to kind of get the thunderstorms to get going in the atmosphere to produce a little bit of rain. All right, if we look at the timing, let's see, of the wind speeds, let me see. We do have the jet that comes in at 500 millibars. So this mid-levels of the atmosphere, a little bit of a jet streak here across Texas and a little piece of Oklahoma Thursday afternoon. So the winds do pick up a bit. And you have to have some decent mid-level winds to get some good thunderstorms. So that's one of the ingredients. So we do have that. So we have the upper level disturbance. We've got the winds go with it. Lower levels, vertical velocities. Let's take a look here. Of course, there's that little batch here for Wednesday right there in central Oklahoma. Not very strong, but it's enough. And there's that little round for Wednesday night, Thursday morning up to the north. All right, here's our next timing is, here is Thursday afternoon into the evening hours right there. Much stronger signal, indicating better opportunities for some good thunderstorms across the state for Thursday evening into Thursday night through Friday morning. So that's our next little round. All right, this doesn't go through, does it go, how far does this go? To Friday night. Does not quite go to Saturday. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the dew point values. If we take a look where the deep moisture is, I'll start it here first. First off, we got dew point values in the 40s and even some 30s still across the state. So that's why it feels so nice out there. But we will get that moisture starting to return. Now, it'll be fake moisture that comes in here. So that green area, I call that fake moisture because it's really rain produced. It's not from the Gulf of Mexico. So it's a little misleading. So that will kind of come in. We'll have some moisture that mixes out across Texas on Thursday morning that does come in here across Oklahoma. And this is kind of misleading. It's not truly the really deep juice. The really deep juice is this little tongue right here. This batch right here is the good stuff. This is fake stuff. So this stuff mixes out somewhat. It's a little drier at the lower levels, and that helps to negate, believe it or not, some tornadic activity, even though the numbers are in the 60s. And I'm a fan of 60s being a minimum to get tornadoes in Oklahoma. So we do at least have part of the equation, but I'll take a look at the forecast sounding here in a minute, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, for Thursday afternoon and evening, see this little patch of some dry air right here? So any of these thunderstorms that do develop, say, in this region, they will move east into the slightly drier air and may end up killing them. Now, we do eventually have this little tongue, like I said, working its way northward at the same time. So the question is, the models have a really good idea on the timing of this. If it comes a little slower, it's a nothing burger. If it comes in faster, well, it may give those storms that are moving through Oklahoma a little bit better instability to work with through Thursday evening. So we'll see what happens. Right now, the models kind of keep it mostly along the Red River Valley and point southward for Thursday evening, which would mean that the thunderstorms are mainly just hail and wind producers. Let's take a look at the significant tornado parameter. Where are the magic ingredients? Well, Thursday afternoon, the models kind of hint at a little small pocket in this region, Some favorite areas here, but otherwise mostly down here where the juice is into Texas. As we go into the evening hours, let's see. There was a little hot spot here across northwestern Texas where some of that moisture is trying to pool. And stays along the Red River and then points southward. So it kind of favors that area more, but at the same time, you have a stronger cap. So it's a trade-off. So if you notice in Oklahoma, there really wasn't much. That's good news, right? Doesn't mean I can't rule out a tornado, but since we are talking about the T word, let's take a look at what that really entails. Okay, so let's go to 5 o'clock. Now, remember, we talk about, 5 o'clock magic, so to speak. That's usually when thunderstorms kind of get going and they get rocking and rolling. Now, if we look out here in western Oklahoma, that little favorite area I mentioned, we do have probably just enough to get a tornado to develop out of a couple of those thunderstorms that develop with supercells. But definitely some hailmakers. Analogs are up around 3 to 3.75 inches of rain. Excuse me, not inches of rain. Come on, man. Size of the hailstone. So we're talking tennis ball, softball maybe. That's crazy. It does have potential hazard type of a tornado and about an EF2 type category. Winds here aloft, they're decent. They're not crazy, but they're enough to get the job done. They're little, it's like a borderline deal. It's just barely the way I see it. No cap in place and plenty of cape and instability. Ship models up around, looks at a 1.8. So that definitely means large hail. Wind rating of 1.4 definitely means damaging wind. So we've got, we'll have the typical large hail damaging wind out of these supercell storms that develop out here across this region in western Oklahoma. So, it's typical. You're kind of getting to that favored pattern that we usually have in May where they start out west and they move east. The question usually is, do they fall apart? What kind of environment do they fall into? Do they keep producing tornadoes if they have in the past? All that kind of stuff. So we'll take a look at that here in the data. And that's just where we're kind of going to see how the difference in the dew point depression is, I mentioned earlier. All right, look at the rainfall for tonight. See how it kind of comes in from the west into western Oklahoma by early tomorrow morning, into the metro Oklahoma City by mid to late morning, up to about lunchtime. Now, it does fall apart, so keep that in mind. You'll have some more development out here in the Panhandle region. Now, that will fizzle out, all right? So we will kind of have little clouds around. It'll help to keep temperatures cooler for tomorrow, so probably not as nice as today just because of that fact. And there might be a secondary wave. Now, this model doesn't show it very well, but there might be a secondary little batch of some showers or thunderstorms in this area for the late afternoon and evening. So adding another couple of tenths or so of rainfall, and I'll show you the output of the rainfall here in a minute. And each model is going to be a little bit different, but that's the take home as far as what potentially can happen. Let's take a look at Thursday morning, 3 and 4 and 5 o'clock. There's that little disturbance we talked about moving across northern Oklahoma. So you guys in Ponca City and Stillwater for Thursday morning, I might get a little bit of excitement with a little bit of rain and some thunderstorms. All right, that'll move through the Tulsa area probably and fall apart right around lunchtime on Thursday. And then we will, this model is kind of late to the party here, but does have a little thunderstorm activity here for Thursday around lunchtime in central Oklahoma. That's a new little change that was not in the other data. All right, so let's just assume it's really more likely in the morning and not, early afternoon. All right, because here's the deal. If that really does happen about that time frame, that's going to stabilize the atmosphere and cool things down. So the timing is everything this time of the year. You could have the best ingredients, but if things don't work out exactly on timing, you throw it all away. In other words, you could have what looks like tornado Armageddon, and something like this were to happen, done. You might as well just, call it. So that's good. Let's call it, All right, but let's take a look here in the afternoon. So it's 5 o'clock. Has these thunderstorms down here in southwest Oklahoma, northwest Texas popping up. Like I mentioned, the sounding out here is favorable. It's kind of borderline. One of the things I don't like for tornado genesis is we have a little bit of a large dew point depression from the surface temperature. Surface temperature of 86, dew point 65. See this? The difference between the green line and the red line, the bigger that difference, in other words, the wider these two lines are, that's a lot of dry air to overcome. And sometimes that can be a negating factor when it comes to producing tornadoes. So that's something in our favor. All right, let's go to the next 6 o'clock. So it has a helicity track, which means any storms down here will produce the hail and the damaging wind. That's a certainty. Now, what happens here is this kind of gets east of Lawton or moves to that area. This little region we talked about, this depression is even bigger, all right? And it causes the LCLs or the base of the clouds to go even higher. So if you notice, the possible hazard type doesn't even indicate tornado anymore. It does say severe storms, but not that type of a severe storm. So again, that's a positive outcome. Let's see. I hate when this thing selects all blue. There we go. Go back over here. All right, so what happens is it keeps moving east. It's a big hail maker. There's some other thunderstorms up here in northwestern Oklahoma. Let's see what happens with that. These guys also still a pretty significant depression here, but the potential hazard type, and the winds really aren't that great either, especially aloft. Has marginal tornado. So it's one of those deals that'd be a freak event. Cape values aren't that high, and your cap is already built in. So again, very low threat is basically extremely low. It's one of those deals where I can't rule it out. The most favorite area right now in the data of a potential tornado would be like maybe for an hour or two, kind of in this region, this little pocket here of southwest Oklahoma. Draw a line from Elk City, west of Lawton to Altus, kind of this little triangle, like the Bermuda Triangle we'll call it. Looks like the best probability of a tornado for Thursday afternoon. All right, otherwise, any thunderstorms will continue to move east. If you notice, this model didn't even hit the metro. See how it kind of split between us? Now remember, the reason for this, because this model had us in that rain-cooled air, which stabilized things. So that means the only unstable atmosphere was down south and a little piece up north and west. So that's how quickly an atmosphere completely change and see how things can go. Now, that's just one model. It could be completely wrong on that late day rain. So let's take a look at another convective model. Here's that stuff for tonight into tomorrow morning. So if you're joining me now, we're getting a little rain here across central and western Oklahoma. That will diminish. Let's go into the afternoon and evening. There's some stuff out in the Panhandle, and then that's all she wrote for Wednesday. All right, so let's go Thursday. There's a little hint of some stuff in northern Oklahoma. This one isn't as bullish. And then here, this one loves southwest Oklahoma for the afternoon hours on Thursday. And because it doesn't produce that stuff on Thursday at all, or Wednesday, or excuse me, early Thursday morning, it fires up thunderstorms all across central and southern Oklahoma. Now, this look is a little bit more ominous because it's going to have a lot more hail and wind with these stronger thunderstorms that move through. So if you notice, that's two completely different outcomes based on what happens during the day on Thursday. So let's just assume, it doesn't rain here in central Oklahoma. Then this is what's potentially on the table. This is why you don't want to get too specific when you're beyond 48 hours, because the models, they can't decipher which way that type of influence is going to go. And you can't either as a human, because it hasn't happened yet, and you're trying to predict something that is not even on the table. So you can envision it, and you can know from history that things that can happen, but it's one of those deals you have to kind of wait and see and get closer to the event. All right, so anyway, so there's Thursday evening. Now stuff all moves off, and then that's all she wrote with that one. Let's take a look at the tech model. Same old song, morning stuff, little afternoon delight, and it moves on out. And then there we go. There's some thunderstorms that kind of roll through in a broken pattern, lined up northwest, southeast for Thursday afternoon. Again, any hail and wind with these. And I noticed the trend with this one. Once it gets into central Oklahoma, look how they fall apart. So all the instabilities out here in western Oklahoma, it gets right here and poof. See how these little helicity tracks disappear? So again, that's a good sign. That means they're not going to hold together that well. All right, let's take a look at our little experimental model, see what it's doing. Let's see, same thing. Let's go to Thursday. Whoa, look at that. All right, so our experimental model has this little late morning. Let's see, what's time on this one? Not too late. It's actually early morning. So you could recover in time. Now, unfortunately, it's not finished running, so it's only stopping at 35 hours out. So it doesn't go the full 48. But if this were to move through early enough in the morning hours and this stuff kind of falls apart, then you can re-destabilize during the afternoon. And that would allow, again, these thunderstorms here to hold up a little bit better as they move into central Oklahoma. But again, you're still going to have some leftover cooling that eventually has to kind of moderate during the day, which may not happen. So that means, again, that's another sign that things will be a little less threatening here in central Oklahoma. Rainfall, let's take a look. Now, again, this is going to try to pick the tracks of the heavier storms, which it won't do exactly. But what it's going to show you is the potential in what is going to happen with the heavier thunderstorm. So we're talking, like you could get 2 to maybe even 3 inches in springtime severe weather supercell type thunderstorms. Remember, with some hail and wind as well. And that continues here to central Oklahoma. So that's that cluster that moves through overnight time to tomorrow, and then again for Thursday. And if you live down here and you go, where's all the rain? Don't worry, this model's not that exact. The only take home here is that you can go from feast to famine, and you can go to, from decent rain, welcome rain, to possibly flash flooding really quick. That's your take home from that. All right, so let's take a look at the one model that thought that the rain was going to come in too late for Thursday morning and cool us down. So let's take a look at Wednesday first. So here's that Wednesday cool down. Look how the rain affects temperatures in the morning into the afternoon. So we try to rebound back up around 60 or 65 for Wednesday. So almost about like today. Not quite. And then as we head into Thursday, let's see what happens. So there's Thursday morning, 68 degrees. So obviously that's that cool down. There's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We do try to rebound to the low 70s, but that's not very juicy. 75 is not bad, but then we're talking the 80s down here where the thunderstorms do develop before things cool down, and then they get rain that helps to cool those folks down as well. All right, so let's just kind of quick look at temperatures. Speaking of long term, it's gonna get warm. 78 degrees like on Thursday, if depending on the outcome of what happens with the rainfall during the day. And then on Friday, now this is where things get interesting. 88 degrees, Saturday 91, Sunday 85. After that, we're back into more seasonable, nicer temperatures. Unless you just really love the 90s. I mean, if that's the case, Saturday may be your day. Overnight lows, though, getting finally back into the 60s, holding close to 60 and extended, which means the Bermuda grass will love it, and it'll start to grow. It's been pretty slow going, because of what's going on. All right, let's take a look at Saturday for the weekend. So that was our next threat of severe storms, and so let's just focus on that and get that over with and find out what's on the table. We'll have to look at a couple of different models here. There's a global model, so they're not really made for severe weather, but we're gonna see what they say anyway. So let's see here. Let's go to Saturday. Okay, what do we got? All right, so here's the European data for Saturday, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock. By the way, Saturday, I will be in El Reno at the Big Burger Festival. I will help cook that massive hamburger out there from around noon. I think it's 12 to 1, so make sure you come on out that day. There'll be no storms during that time. Okay, so this model, way too dry in a lot of this area, so storms will have a really tough time developing this atmosphere. Even if they did, with the look of the shear and everything else, they would be hail makers. Some analogs up here around 3 inches or so. So that'd be big hailstorms on Saturday, should they even occur. All right, that's the European data for Saturday. Let me see what it says for Sunday. Let's go back here. Sunday. All right, it still has mostly in eastern Oklahoma, southwest wind. So European is not favorable for storms really much over the weekend. All right, I can go and look at its actual output and see what it does. All right, where are we on Saturday? There's Saturday. So there's that little thread of some thunderstorms, maybe some hail producers here, a few of them on Saturday. And then Sunday. Not much. Maybe far eastern, southeastern Oklahoma. That's it. Okay, so the European's pretty dry over the weekend, other than those few thunderstorms on Saturday. And that's, again, late afternoon, early evening. So that means most of your weekend is dry. That's how you look at that. That's how I look at it anyways. Okay, so let's go to the GFS, which stands for good for something. Let's go Saturday at 7. It has some thunderstorms way down here in southwest Oklahoma. Then those move in central Oklahoma, kind of starting to fall apart probably. And then storms still continue along the Red River. What about on Sunday? Sunday, there's a little sign that something may happen here. Let me see what the sounding looks like. Okay, sounding has very weak winds, but favorable turning with height, but very low shear. In this case, you end up with just hailstorms and typically some wind. So wind and hail over the weekend is what this output says. And I know there was already some talk of tornadoes on both Thursday and Saturday. All right, and people putting that out there, it's so dumb. Just ignore it. Because look, we look at the data right now, and it doesn't even say that. It's like, why bother? So yeah, just keep that in mind. I'm going to go with the latest deal here. Again, that's why I like that 48-hour window, because that's when you really get into the meat and potatoes and stuff. All right, let's go to Saturday. Anything different? And the GFS can vary wildly. So here's the evening. So it's got stuff out now in western Oklahoma versus southwest. Let's see what the forecast sounding out there looks like. Oh, good grief. Nothing's going to happen with that. That's nonsense. All right. That's too dry. All right, let's go. Where was Sunday? Sunday's got some stuff up here in northeast Oklahoma. Let's see. In this particular case, sure looks a bit better. Hailmaker. Shear's decent on the turning, but still really weak mid-levels atmosphere. Usually, to produce a tornado, that'd be very difficult to do. It'll rotate. It'll try. In those particular cases, usually the storms try really hard to get a wall cloud. Sometimes you get a funnel, and everybody gets all excited, and really it's just hail. So that's what it looks like to me on that day. So right now, that's what I got here for you. That's the latest data. So it is what it is. But, sorry, my nose running a little bit. Allergies, man. I did allergy shots, like, I don't know, when I moved to Oklahoma City, because Oklahoma City's like, and Tulsa are like the allergy capitals of the world, it seems like. And it worked for like 10 years, and then all of a sudden, after COVID, I think COVID did something. COVID did something to everybody. But yeah, I think it jacked up the immune system, and now I got allergies again. So irritating. So sometimes I got to deal with sinus infections and all that fun stuff. So I'm getting over a 1.5 week one. That's so lame. But anyway, by the way, you guys, thanks for the stars. I see you, Nanette, Angela on Facebook. Appreciate you, ladies. Who else? I'll scroll up. Robert in the house. Thank you, sir. Also, thanks you guys for liking and sharing the posts, the videos. That actually means a lot because the algorithms work on that stuff. If you don't if you don't pay attention to Elon Musk on Twitter, he lets you know how the algorithms work, and they're all the same. Somebody said I didn't get notified. Quick recap. What, Larry? Come on, Larry. You're supposed to be getting into that opt-in. Larry, this is for you. I'm gonna post the link. You better click on this link, man. Right here. Post on that link. That way you do not miss the notifications. Okay. So two things. What was I saying? Got me all distracted. What was I talking about? Man, I'm getting old. Oh, happy birthday, Larry. By the way. Oh, algorithms. Elon Musk. The longer you sit on a post, that gets rewarded. So you don't have to like it. You just have to sit on it. So I want you to sit on it when you see this video come up on your feed or a post that I make. So I don't know, man. They're smart enough to know how long you looked at it before you started scrolling, and that boosts the post in the algorithm, even without you having to like it. It's almost like it's like a mind reading. Like it's like you're not gonna hit the button, but I know you like it. So I don't know, man. It's getting spooky out there. Anyways, okay, so that's the latest with that, and then Larry for I've got one of those Lori what's it called? You can get it at the pharmacy. It's at that little spray bottle, and you can mix like salt and soda, baking soda in it, a little bit, tiny bit. It comes in a package, or you can make your own. I just make my own seawater or sea salt. Anyway, so you do that. You can rinse out your nasal passages. But dude, allergies are allergies, man. Let's see. So if you're late to the party. Got some rain coming in western Oklahoma tonight, moving into central Oklahoma by daybreak in the mid-morning hours, falling apart by lunchtime. There might be a little bit of regeneration late afternoon, very little, but be anchored over south central Oklahoma. Rainfall amounts can be anywhere from a couple tenths to some lucky people getting up around an inch or more, so that's good. Let's see, then that kind of dissipates, and then we've got some elevated showers, thunderstorms, for Thursday morning, again around daybreak, that moves through northern Oklahoma, say Ponca City, Stillwater, Tulsa kind of a deal through the morning hours on Thursday. Now after that, this is where things differ. One model wants to develop another round of rain for the early lunchtime period over central Oklahoma. And that would stabilize things quite a bit, and that would move off to the east during the afternoon, late afternoon. All right. And then regardless of whether that happens or not, there will be some thunderstorms that develop out across southwest Oklahoma along the dry line, and those would be producing very large hail, damaging winds, and potentially a tornado or two. And then that activity will be moving east. However, as it moves east, it will diminish in intensity in all three categories. Matter of fact, the tornado category, I only think is going to be there for about an hour, maybe two at most. So like a sweet spot from, 5 to 7 kind of a deal. And it won't be anywhere near the Oklahoma City Metro by then. They'll still be out southwest. So that's kind of like if you drew a line. I think I said from Elk City to Lawton, that solid line there, kind of west toward southwest Oklahoma. It seems to be the favorite area today in the data. Now keep in mind, the models won't always know the exact position of the draw line and where the convergence lines are, so that can shift a little bit more north and east, for example, and that would push that threat a little bit more north and east. But regardless, big hail, like could be tennis ball size, could be some baseball size hail and some of that. But anyway, so that's Thursday. And then on Saturday, a couple of probably some scattered severe thunderstorms in central southern Oklahoma. Large hail again, damaging wind. Then after that, right now, sunny looked pretty questionable. There might be some stuff in northeast Oklahoma, but otherwise, hail and wind seems to be anything that develops over the weekend. I just don't see a big signal right now for anything tornadic. It would have to change in the data, and it's not there yet. Now I could wish cast, and I could, hope it's going to change and then call for tornadoes, but I go by the data. I don't go by fantasy. So if fantasy becomes reality, fine, I'll talk about it. Until then, I ain't gonna talk about it. All right, need to drink some apple cider vinegar. Man, I can't do vinegar, Nat. Vinegar is one of those deals where I'm like, I'm serious. It's an immediate it's reaction. It's violent. I'm just like, get that stuff away from me. My body knows it's not supposed to handle anything vinegar related. It just knows. The nose knows. So anyway, you're welcome though, Lynn. Appreciate it. Milk with OJ. Oh, that's a bad combination. What are you doing with that? Guys on YouTube, again, thanks for checking in. Let's see. Let me scroll through your comments here real quick. Jim, good to see you. Jim and I hung out at the Penn Square Mall for the Severe Weather Expo for a few minutes. Robert, all right, I'm flying back to Tulsa Thursday night. Should be in and around out at 5:30. You mean in the evening, like Thursday afternoon? Or are you talking, what kind of time frame are you talking? Are you in Zulu time? What time are you in? Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. There's a sneeze trick. I've told you this before. If you press your finger up against your nose, the tip of your nose, and you push it back, you can't sneeze. Just so you know. It works every time. But you got to catch it quick as soon as you get that feeling. And it may come back, which means you have to do it again. Anyways, let's see. You guys have some crazy conversations over there. All right. Oh, yeah. Well, you don't even have to be weather to have a delayed flight this day and age. Airlines are a mess, man. Let's see. Insco's Adventures. Could you explain in layman's terms how to read a sounding? Unfortunately, that would require a probably half-hour tutorial of me just pulling up a sounding and going through all the parameters. So that would be like a weather classroom type deal, like weather 101. And I've toyed with the idea of doing like some of these, like a paid event, and I've done a paid event in the past where like severe weather type presentations, right? So it may be one of those deals where I kind of put together like classwork type material, because remember, all this stuff takes time, and as you get older, you'll learn. Your time will mean more to you than anything else in this world. And you will learn that you will assign a very large dollar amount to that time because it robs you of joy or anything else that you want to do. It can be with your kids. It can be with some thing you actually like to do, right? It's something fun that you like to do. And if you have to work or do something that takes away from that time, then that's cutting into something that's way more valuable, that you assign a higher value to it. So as you get older, you'll realize that. So as I get older, I'm realizing I got to budget my time better. So I do sometimes less and less of that type of extracurricular stuff because I want to spend it doing some other things. Because I'm getting older and I want to, still experience some life in different ways. So I'll still see what I can do though. I may eventually get something together. Emily, it depends. I can have some of those violent sneezes, like the kind of stuff that hurts, like you throw your back out violent sneeze, like you sprain a muscle in your arm violent sneeze. So I'm not so sure about that. That's true, Lynn. That's a good point. Yeah, it seems to go by faster and faster too, and then all of a sudden you're looking toward retirement, and you're like, man, do I have enough money to retire? How long do I have to work for? Anyway, so yeah, we go on all kinds of tangents tonight, but I gotta get busy. I have to go. I gotta get up early in the morning, get some stuff done. So you guys, thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate you always for your support, either it's financial or if it's just liking the video, sharing it with your friends and family. Getting my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. Apple, Google Play. It tracks tornadoes all the time, anywhere you go across the entire U.S. So you can take it with you traveling. People do it all the time, and when they move Oklahoma, guess what? They take it with them, and then they send me messages back and goes, "Oh my gosh, your app worked great in Florida. Oh, it worked great in Houston. Oh, it worked out here in California." I mean, it doesn't really matter where you go. You'll get some data out of it. All right, so that's it for me. You guys have a great evening. Good rest of your night, and we'll talk again later. See ya.